I never was like, I'm gonna commit
Mm-hmm.
suicide. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was weird because like, but I tried to die. So I guess I was trying to die, but I knew that I could never hold my breath underwater long enough to die. I always knew that you would come up, so I guess when you talk about have I ever went that far, that's the farthest I ever went. I do go mentally there sometimes. Like me and you were discussing about how we were discussing last time about like we put each other. I was laughing about that to myself. It's those little things that make you happy, bro.
Yeah.
Those are the things that make you not want to do something, like that, bro. It's like just us thinking about it. We were having that great talk. It was a great talk for us too as friends about how we were talking about how like we put each other in each other's action movies, but the other person's always hurt. Like you're the one doing
Yeah.
the saving in
You're the hero in
yours.
your
I'm
story.
the right, exactly. It's like nobody saves me. I save myself. So I started thinking about that, and I like the other day I was thinking about that. See, I don't know. I don't know. Like I think it's okay to think about things like that, but I was thinking about like what if I killed myself? And yeah, bro, you're the first person I think about, dude. That's the crazy thing, dude. You're the first. I'm like, wow, I wouldn't want Steven to have to stomach that. I'm like,
Listen.
bro, like
Oh my
that's
god,
just wrong, dude.
dude.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's funny. It's funny you say that, man, because I'm just thinking. I'm like, sometimes I'll think in my head, like, what happens if I die? Or what happens if I kill myself? It's funny because I had this thought like 2 weeks ago. And I was thinking, like, I could hear you talking to like other people about me, like after me killing myself. You know what I'm saying, like that. Like I could hear the words that like you were saying, and like just like it's like Steve, I'm going to fucking live our best life for fucking us. What I'm saying? It's like I'm gonna do everything I fucking told that motherfucker. Just like
Uh-huh.
it's like shit, like just like you so like you was like like the impact like you would have on some people. Um, and I just think it's crazy you said that because I literally just had that thought
It's
like two
funny
weeks ago.
thinking
And I
about
was
that.
like, yeah,
See,
like,
see. Now that we're in the talk, though, like I see it a little differently. Like mine doesn't go positive. So, like in my mind, I'm always trying to like see, like I'm trying to find the reason of like, well, I know I would never do it because of this. So like once I get to that point, I'm like, well, even though I do want that, like I would want that. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, hell yeah, I want you to go say all of those things, But I'm always like, I don't want to leave him alone. I don't want to leave you alone, dog. You to go say all of those things, But I'm always like, I don't want to leave him alone. Always talk about the freedom we have in our convos. I'm like, so what? I go do something like that, and then Steven just don't have nobody sending him stuff no more. I'm like, no, you know what I mean? Like, I don't. And then like that's just one step of it. And then you're like, I don't want to do it to my nephew. Same exact reason. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
want them to think about that. But there's a reason that when most people, they do it in places they'll be found, and they usually do it in places where they know who will find them. So there's a reason that people do that, bro. There's not many people who don't want to be found, especially on like a first attempt.
hmm
Because I know of a few suicides, but the one I know about where the person wasn't like somewhere where they would be found, they had attempted it before and failed. So I think that would kind of change your mind too. I feel like that you're like the second time you're like, I'm gonna do it this time and make sure nobody can help me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I don't know exactly sure how he did it the first time, but the second time went out to the middle of nowhere, stuffed up in a car, opened all the paint cans up in his all the paint cans up in his work truck, turned the gas on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You want to sleep.
Yeah. I mean,
But I know plenty of people, not plenty. I know a couple of people that commit suicide literally in front of people or there's certain there's things that just they don't sound real, bro. But I don't know if we talked about it before, but like I can tell you, bro, like 100% fact, dude. In my mind, placebo, whatever you want to call it. In my mind, bro, my first memory ever is my uncle telling my aunt he's about to go commit suicide. And he did tell my aunt that. In the same place that I remember it. At the same exact spot. it's the first memory I ever have. But I remember he came and told my aunt because he always wanted to pass, as he said. And I can remember the talk, bro. And at this point, I'm like 3, technically, dude. Like he died when he committed suicide when I was 3. So, not my best work. Not the best moment to do it. But yeah, it missed me. Thank God. You know, but it's the first memory I got, bro. And I don't know if like I try to think about like I try to find a reason to like solve it, right? I'm like, that's crazy that would be my first memory. I try to think about like how it could happen. So that's why I said like I don't know if like maybe I had a dream one time and it was so livid that like I made it a memory. That's how I try to explain it. You know what I mean? But if like me trying to be honest, if you asked me my first memory, that in my mind is my first memory, bro. And I just never forget it, bro. Because that's the thing. Listen, here's the thing, okay? Here's the troubling part of it. He died when I was 3. We can get into a whole story here because there's a whole Baltimore story going on here. But he died when I was 3, right? But I know 100%, no placebo, no dream. I know I have memories of me and him walking to the Hollandtown corner store and him buying me nail laters. 100% are real. He died when I was 3. So I know I have him in the door and my aunt comes walking in. He just got paid. Every time he got paid, I wish my Aunt Barb was here to vouch this, bro, because it's shit that she never even told me. But I know it. Every time he got paid, he would go get 2 cheesesteaks. He would come drop one off to my aunt. And when he came this time, he dropped it off. And bro, I can remember it so vividly. He tells her, this will be the last time. And my aunt, and he had a history of this. Like he always talked about dying, wanted to die, didn't want to be alive. That goes back to like heavy childhood trauma. Of course, sexual, physical, prison, bro. A lot of things happened in prison. And he always wanted to die. And my aunt, was as close as it gets to him, and would like basically always tell him like, no, no, Will, it's funny, his name's Will, but I call him Uncle Billy. That's how Will goes for some reason, right? Why not just name him Bill? But
keep going.
We're good.
You're good on YouTube.
We get to a point.
I stopped on Facebook. Yeah. We're still on YouTube.
Okay. Well, let's rather just make a new one on there.
Just rerun it. Yeah, I'm just gonna rerun it right now. Okay.
The technical issues have never stopped.
It's always something. That's something, but you work with them in stride.
Yeah. I wonder what it is though, because I usually never did that on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. I don't know. Facebook crapped out.
Okay, well, fuck you, Facebook.
We're just hyping you up the other day.
Yeah, literally. So, he comes in there, and the way that I get it from the convo is that like, so I don't want to fuck you up here. Is that like maybe she had talked him out of this many of times, and this time, he just was basically like, I'm done with it, man. I can't live with it. Not one more fucking day.
He says that?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's how I see it. Right? That's how I see it. All he said to her was, I'm done.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm done. And you could just tell, like, the energy, right? Energy was different, bro. And, like, after knowing all the stories my aunts told me and shit, this is what I've put together. You know what I mean? At times and just didn't go through with it, or was able to do other ways. And, she starts pleading with him. He starts pleading back. And it's to the point where, like, my aunt's crying. My aunt's my Aunt Barb. You met her, My Aunt Barb. And I got this Tonka truck, big ass yellow Tonka truck. I'm telling you, bro, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Like, I really remember this shit, bro. And he ended up dying of overdose and like heroin addict. So he always had to get other people to shoot him up. So like it's believed, basically they found him side of the highway rolled up on the carpet. So it's believed that like he was with his and gave her, basically his final goodbye of like, I'm leaving here. This is it. And that's one suicide I know. And it's crazy. I didn't want to get into the whole story there, but it's like, that is the first memory I have technically,
And it's
a suicide, bro.
Yeah.
And I know about another suicide that I don't want to put a name on. That can go through, long story short, bro. But he did it right in front of his baby mother. You know what I mean? Gunshot in front of his baby mother. So out of, I guess, the 3 suicides, I can, if you're not counting drug suicides of like, you know,
I mean, possibly. You know,
if you count that as a suicide,
ruled
bro, I know 5 suicides.
it's just possible. I know. I mean, I've heard of people, you know, that they just go, they
Right.
pass out and go quickly. You know, so I mean, I have heard of that. I'm not sure. I mean, they'd probably just rule that as OD.
Bro. That's weird. Yeah. But it
yeah, I
makes me
mean,
think about a lot. It just makes me think about so much in my head of like,
I mean, I knew someone who tried to do that twice, and I mean, they've gotten clean since then, and now they're able to tell us. But I mean, no one really knew that's what they were trying to do. I mean, you just think they're out getting high, just shooting up, but I mean, they try to take their life twice. And then, I mean, I've tried to talk to a dope addict. I mean, I'll try to talk to a dope addict. And I mean, there's no talking to
no.
someone who's like strung out that far.
But like, it's like the one thing that no one knows they fear the most. It's dying alone. It's like, regardless, like, you just die alone, bro. Like, when you're at your worst, you're in pain, and you're just laying there, you just die alone.
Yeah.
That's got to be like the worst thing for a human to experience. Everybody wants to be like, when we was talking about that cruise ship, why would I jump over there if you fell off in the middle of the night? 'Cause I don't want you to die alone.
Yeah, I want you to be alone.
I know that's
I want you to be
that's gonna
alone.
be the worst thing, bro.
Yeah, you're out there by yourself.
An hour.
Yeah.
An hour, I'd feel
Yeah.
bad. You know what I
And
mean? So
take for granted, I mean, because we live in such a like an overstimulated society. I mean, you walk downtown somewhere, you walk past 1,000 different people.
Yeah.
You don't know if that lady just doesn't have nobody. What happened to that? I mean, some people eventually are just. I mean, some people are left alone
Yeah.
just to kind of like cry and die by themselves.
Some people choose cremation because they know no one will come to their funeral.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know what they've done, bro.
Yeah.
They know what they've done.
Yeah.
Some
And I mean,
kids aren't.
and the relationships that you hold and that you build. Like, I mean, like I think about people say, well, I know that person will be at my funeral. Well, someone may not have that, And once that like sick realization comes into play, it's like, I mean, there are some people. I mean, for lack of better circumstances, or I mean, who knows? It'll be so quick to cast your judgment. But I mean, there's some miserable people out here, And sometimes like you're not sure if like did evil do them wrong, or you just evil and miserable, or like what the case is. I mean, you don't know, but there are some miserable people out here, bro. And like a lot, like they've kind of like attached themselves to that role of like antagonist, and like that's like who they are, like they're just like that antagonizer.
There's a good breakdown I wanted to talk to you about though. With there was a movie I believe it's called On the Way Back. And it's a